The School of Hard Knocks 26 took place at the Art Hauser Center in Prince Albert. Amateur fighters from across Canada battled it out in the Hard Knocks cage.
To the School of Hard Knocks.
This School of Hard Knocks fight is an amateur bout in the 135-pound division and is brought to you by Crave Yogurt Bar. And now, let's meet the fighters.
Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the School of Hard Knocks 26, a presentation of the Hard Knocks Fighting Championship. My name is Ryan Valentine, here tonight with Nigel Maxwell. 13 fights on the card, all amateur ranks, three-minute rounds, and the first guy down to the cage to open up Hard Knocks 26, Dave Sternberg out of United Fighter Mixed Martial Arts in Kenora, Ontario, 135 pounds, 0-2 to start his amateur career.
He's a Riley Young fighter. He's ready to go tonight, throwing some punches. He knows his opponent's going to go for the armbar tonight. He's been strategizing, knows what he has to do tonight. He's ready to go.
Yeah, the last time we saw David, it was a knockout loss on the ground at Hard Knocks 21. Before that, he got caught leaving his neck a little bit long in a takedown and got taken down by a guillotine choke. But the nice thing about amateur fights, Nigel, is that it doesn't matter how many times you lose as an amateur, because once you turn pro, all those losses disappear, and it's how many wins you put up as a pro that really counts.
And it's a learning experience for these guys, too. Here's a guy, he loves to work out. He keeps himself in shape. He loves to fight. He's ready to get in there tonight. He's learned from his past. He wants to get in and get the win tonight.
Yeah, fighting under Jesse the Water Bongfeld, a former UFC fighter. And you see Jesse there applying the final touches to Dave Sternberg before he gets in the cage. Has been training for about a year and a half. Figures ground and pound is probably the way he wants to win the fight tonight. And said he spent a lot of time working on his ground game after that last loss.
How much pressure is there, though, to be the first guys in the ring tonight? First match for Hard Knocks in PA. You're the first guys out.
Curtain jerker's a little tough to be, but I'm sure Dave Sternberg's ready. And coming down, his opponent now, Matthew Fiddler, the independent fighter out of Cumberland House, Saskatchewan, weighed in at 135 pounds, 1-0 as an amateur, just 16 years old, stands 5'11", and he's ready to get to work.
Yeah, I've seen Matthew before. Here's a guy who loves to fight. He's ready to get in there and throw the punches and the kicks, because he told me himself before in the past, a year ago, man, I like to just get in there and throw him when I can. He's going down.
Yeah, I asked him about his striking because, of course, won his first fight via armbar. When he talked to me about his striking, he said, well, I'm more of a brawler than a precision striker at this point in his career, but likes to use that brawling technique to set up a takedown and work the ground game.
What's the strategy going to be for him tonight, do you think, though, against someone who's a little more competitive and maybe a little more experienced?
Well, I think with the experience Dave Sternberg offers, certainly to his benefit, but the nice thing about being a 16-year-old is I remember when I was 16, I was invincible. And I'm sure that Matthew Fiddler feels invincible at this point. And it doesn't matter what happens in that cage, because nothing bad can happen to him. Doesn't have that life experience where life can turn on you and really kind of kick you for a loss. So not having that, probably an advantage for him now getting in the cage as again, just 16 years old, whereas Dave Sternberg knows what it feels like to lose. He's had that feeling twice.
Oh, looking at Dave Sternberg over there, he's focused. He's got that look on his face. He's ready to go. He said he was facing the cage. It'd be interesting to see how he reacts after that short delay. But look on his face right now. Let's get up there and let's get it on.
So Fiddler's getting set to get in the cage, looking for another submission finish. Feels more comfortable working off his back as considers himself a bit of a jiu-jitsu practitioner. Started just rolling around with friends in the garage at age 13. Got into a gym about a year ago. And again, a lot of very young fighters in the Hard Knocks organization, which is you're not going to see. You will still see 40-year-olds fighting tonight, but primarily a lot of younger fighters. As Fiddler now in the cage, and we're just about set for our first fight of the night.
And now, the official Hard Knocks fighter introductions. In the TJ Pizza blue corner, he's 0-2 as an amateur, 16 years old, and stands 5 feet, 8 inches tall. He weighed in at 134 pounds, fighting out of United Fighter MMA from Kenora. Please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Dave Sternberg. And in the Flammans Fitness red corner, he's 1-0 as an amateur, 16 years old, and stands 5 feet, 11 inches tall. He weighed in at 135 pounds, fighting as an independent from Cumberland House, Saskatchewan. Please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Matthew Fiddler. This bout will be contested under amateur rules. The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks action is Mr. Elvis Lyon.
Elvis Lyon, our referee, as we get set for the first fight of the night between Matthew Fiddler in the gray trunks out of the red corner, the black Hayabusa trunks for Dave Sternberg out of the blue corner. Hard Knocks 26 is just about underway and just waiting for the cage door to close before we get started as these two fighters meet at the center of the cage with the touching of the gloves, and we are underway here in Prince Albert.
Well, a good showing of ovation for the local boy, so to speak. PA is not just the city. It is all of PA and North, and Matthew Fiddler got a nice ovation from the crowd to get in there first of all.
Nice slam down to the ground from Fiddler, had Sternberg's back and has him up against the, has him down on the ground now. We'll see if Sternberg's work on the submission defense will pay off here, as he said he focused on it in camp. Fiddler said he wants to go for the submission, just about had a mount there, but he is inside control looking for a choke.
I think Sternberg's looking to get on top right now. He said he likes the ground and pound. He's on his back right now. Fiddler, he said he works himself on this better on his back too, but he's in good control right now.
Bit of a neck crank coming there from Fiddler. Sternberg starting to drop body punches. Of course, here in Saskatchewan, strikes to the head of a downed opponent are legal. We do fight in some other places where that's not the case, but they are legal here. That choke starting to get a little deeper on the face of Sternberg, and as he tries to pop over, but Fiddler just works him right back and continues to control, now has the full mount.
Fiddler's right on top. He's got that lock on his neck. It's getting in closer, and we kind of see some of the blood rushing to Dave Sternberg's face right now.
A nice reversal there, though, from Sternberg as he gets out on top. Fiddler says he prefers to work from his back, so we'll see what he can do here, but Dave Sternberg in a good spot here. Again, 3 3-minute rounds here in the amateurs. You can see just over 1:20 left on our feature productions fight clock.
Well, the main thing is when you get on your back, too, don't panic. You got to be focused, just relax, breathe slow. Don't force it. Don't rush. And that's what Fiddler's doing right now. He looks comfortable on his back right now. Just keeping those punches from Sternberg out of his face.
Sternberg trying to work, a warning from the officials to keep moving and to keep working. A nice hammer fist there from Sternberg, landing on the top of Fiddler's head.
Good defensive strategy here by Fiddler as he's on the bottom right now. But again, he's so comfortable on his back. He looks so not worried at all, and he's just the technical aspect. That's the thing about the younger guys, is that you'll see a lot more technical fighting with these fights.
Nice scramble there from Sternberg to get away from an armbar, but may find himself in trouble here with a triangle. Fiddler has the triangle down in front of us. We'll see if he can tighten that up and choke off the air and punches coming from Sternberg as he's pretty deep in this triangle, rolling over now on top is Fiddler, and he's dropping punches, has Sternberg in trouble. 22 seconds remaining in round number 1, but still intelligently defending at this point is Sternberg.
Fiddler
doing a good job of wall walking now to try and reverse it, but still deep in the triangle.
Fiddler has had control, I mean, since the beginning of the opening bell here, and he's on top right now, and he's comfortable up there. He's got her.
And there's the tap with just a couple seconds left in round number 1. Dave Sternberg finds himself on the short end, falling to 0-3, a 2-0 record now for Matthew Fiddler, who gets the win via triangle on top. A nice win there from the young man, just 16 years old and 2 wins into his MMA career.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the official decision, brought to you by Crave Yogurt Bar. The winner at 2 minutes and 55 seconds in the very first round, the winner by tap out via submission, in the red corner, Matthew Fiddler.
Find out more about Hard Knocks Fighting and upcoming Hard Knocks events. Please visit hardknocksfighting.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this School of Hard Knocks fight is an amateur bout in the 170-pound division and is brought to you by the Prince Albert Inn. And now, let's meet the fighters.
So one fight in the books here for PA School of Hard Knocks 26 from the Art Hauser Center here in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. Coming down to the cage now, James Sanderson out of the LA Warriors in La Ronge, Saskatchewan, making his amateur debut at age 31, standing 5'7", weighed in last night at 170 pounds. And this guy is ready to take the fight because we came to PA.
Oh, that's right. Here in PA, we love the fights. And this guy, 2 years ago, he said he heard about it, he went to a kickboxing class, and that was it. That sealed the deal for him. He's ready to go now.
Sanderson took that class 2 years ago, started training MMA a little more seriously just 6 weeks ago, but considers himself more of a stand-up fighter.
And that's it. Now it'd be interesting to see how he handles it. Some of these guys are used to brawling, using the punches, but I mean, for MMA, you got to have a whole school of events. So see how he handles the ground game tonight. And be curious as well to see how that goes for him as well. But again, here's a chance for him to show the crowd in PA what he can do. Here's his chance to fight.
And he says it's interesting making his debut, and he said he's glad that he's facing someone else making his debut. Of course, Greg Albert's making his debut tonight. Said it's nice because he knows that the other guy doesn't have that extra cage experience, that extra, the feeling, that the nerves should be the same. And he said that not knowing anything about his opponent means that he doesn't have to change his outlook or change his game plan at all.
Oh, that's a big confidence booster you got to be for you as well. I mean, not having that focus taken off of you as a fighter, you know, going into those nerves about knowing what your opponent can do, how many guys he's knocked out or submitted. Now he's got a fresh start. Some guy he can go in there and feel comfortable with, just do his thing tonight. And he's got a big hometown showing. He's got 5 kids at home waiting for him, cheering him on tonight, cheering for Dad.
And I'm sure with 5 kids at home, has no trouble keeping busy.
No.
And keeping cardio should be good. I know from chasing one child that is a lot of work to do. I can only imagine having to do 5 times that much work. But of course, that's probably why he's 170 pounds and I'm 270 pounds.
Well, dealing with 5 kids at home, you got to imagine this should be nothing compared to that.
That's right. Greg Albert's now coming down to the cage out of Estevan Combat Sports in Estevan, Saskatchewan. A gym we see a lot of course, one of his cornermen tonight, Wade Baldwin there in the Marvel t-shirt making his way down. We've seen him in the Hard Knocks cage before. Seeing a lot of fighters come out of Estevan and host a couple of events down there. And Greg Alberts says that just wouldn't look back from the first time he got into the gym and refused to stop coming to the gym because of how much he enjoyed it.
And some guys too, they openly admit, well, I'm more of a stand-up guy, or I'm a ground and pounder, I'm a grappler. No, Greg says I'm an all-around fighter. I can do it all, and I'll be very curious to see how he does tonight.
And if you get a chance to meet Greg, he'll describe his fighting style to you in a little more vulgar term than I'm allowed to use here on the broadcast, but did win a gold medal in a jiu-jitsu tournament, and the gray hair is not a dye job. 39 years old, making his amateur debut. One of the things we do see with the Estevan Combat Sports, it is guys in their late 30s getting in the gym, and you know, they've explained the strategy to me as such that everyone's got so many fights in them, and they're just starting theirs later than others. So it'll be interesting to see how these two older fighters do in their debut.
Well, it's interesting too. You know, a lot of guys that stand there and say, hey, I could do that. I could fight in the cage. It's a lot harder than it looks. And to be in your late 30s, getting into a cage and fighting, it can't be simple.
No, and when I asked Greg about the strategy he was planning on bringing into the cage tonight, he said it's very simple. Hit first, hit more, and hit last, and we'll see if he can do that tonight.
And now, the official Hard Knocks fighter introductions. In the TJ Pizza blue corner, it's his amateur debut. He's 31 years old and stands 5 feet, 7 inches tall. He weighed in at 169.9 pounds, fighting out of LA Warriors from LaRange, Saskatchewan. Please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, James First Nation Sensation Sanderson! And in the Flammans Fitness red corner, it's his amateur debut. He's 39 years old and stands 5 feet, 9 inches tall. He weighed in at 169.5 pounds, fighting out of Estevan Combat Sports. From Estevan, please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Greg Albert! This bout will be contested under amateur rules. The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks action is Mr. Brett Hamlin.
Referee in charge of the action going to check and make sure that our cage is closed and we are ready to go. A bit of a Bronx cheer there for Greg Alberts from the PA crowd here. Not every Saskatchewan athlete gets love. That's not what I've been led to believe before.
We have an awesome crowd in PA. We know who we like as a fighter. We'll pick him out. Doesn't have to be a hometown boy sometimes, but we'll cheer and we'll cheer loud.
Alberts coming out of the red corner in the red and black trunks, the black and white trunks for Sanderson out of the blue corner. Couple strikes early as both these guys look to get a quick start.
It'll be interesting to see how long this goes. I imagine some of the cardio's got to play into as well. A little older, these guys, and I think they're looking for some quick wins here.
Well, it's often been referred to with some of the Estevan guys as old man strength. So we'll see how that plays out, but a guillotine choke opportunity as Sanderson left his neck exposed. We'll see if Alberts can close it off, and there's the tap. Sanderson is done. Alberts wins his debut, left his neck out a little too far, and paid the price.
Oh, he just jumped on that. He almost ran across the cage and grabbed him by the neck and took him down on that one. That's intensity and focus right there.
A nice win there for Greg Alberts. He moves to 1-0 as Estevan Combat Sports gets their first win of the night.
Look, his face is breathing a little heavy. I think he's taking his first fight into consideration here now. Wants to go number 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the official decision brought to you by PA Auto Body. At 37 seconds in the very first round, referee Brett Hamlin stops this bout. The winner by tap out via guillotine in the red corner, Greg Albert.
To find out more about Hard Knocks Fighting and upcoming Hard Knocks events, please visit hardknocksfighting.com.
This School of Hard Knocks fight is an amateur bout in the 205-pound division and is brought to you by PA Auto Body. And now, let's meet the fighters.
Coming down to get a second win for the blue corner now, Jordan O'Connor out of United Fighter Mixed Martial Arts in Kenora, Ontario, the gym of Jesse Bongfeld. We saw David Sternberg from this gym earlier tonight suffer a loss, and Jordan O'Connor making his amateur debut at just 19 years old.
Oh, we should see a very different approach to this fight tonight. He began as a wrestler. That's his strength right now, working on his grappling and some of his striking, but he's a self-confessed wrestler. We'll be watching, looking to him to take his opponent to the ground right away.
Well, and it's interesting, in talking to Jordan earlier, you can kind of see it here in the shot we've got. He's got a pretty severe underbite. Not that you necessarily notice immediately, but when talking to him, you can see he's got that underbite. Said he could have undergone surgery to have it corrected, but that would have weakened his jaw. And as a result, he wanted to make sure that he had a full fight career before that happened, so that way he wouldn't have that jaw be any weaker than it needs to be, so that he can get in there and take the punches full force.
He's still a pretty young guy, 19 years old. I mean, he's got his whole career in front of him right now. It's interesting to see how that kind of played a part, though, in his strategy tonight.
So Jordan O'Connor comes into the cage, 205 pounds, the weight class for this fight. And in talking to Jordan, said he wants to stay close to Mike and get him to the ground, finish him on the ground, because he respects the striking of Mike Dive, who's coming down to the cage, the independent fighter out of Estevan, Saskatchewan. We saw him recently take on Craig Goodry in a fight where both fighters ran out of gas and just circled each other for the entirety of the third round. Promises to be better tonight, does Mike Guy.
Well, this is always interesting. You get a grappler versus a striker. Who's going to prevail on here? If that wrestler can get him down, the fight's done. If that striker can keep the fight up on both standing, we could be in for a full 3 rounds.
Yeah, it was interesting talking to Mike about his last fight. He said he made a lot of mistakes, including trying an armbar submission that wasn't really there, as well as really working into try and work the ground and pound instead of just standing and throwing, which is what he feels like he's best at. So the Estevan fighter making a bit of a trek up here to PA to get in and get in the cage.
It'll be interesting too. Again, we've seen the cardio aspect already play into a couple fights already. Both these guys said they've been working on their cardio. Said our last one, Mike had already confessed his last fight he was simply gassed out. So hopefully he's been working on his cardio for tonight's fight, because this could go full 3 rounds hopefully.
Well, one can hope. I like to see a good 9-minute fight. I mean, you never want it to go to the judges, so let's call it an 8-minute, 59-second fight, because Lord knows that MMA judges rarely know what they're talking about. But at the end of the day, it's really about getting the finish, and both these guys, of course, looking for the finish. But if it goes a couple rounds, not going to have any complaints from me.
Again, they're both new fighters as well. Mike's got a record 0-1. Jordan, this is his first fight. I mean, they're looking to get out in front of that crowd tonight and showcase. And that's what the crowd here in PA loves to see, is 2 guys get in there and brawl. We don't want to see a slow-paced fight. We want to see some punches and kicks thrown. We want to see some action.
And of course, Nigel, you're a local here in Prince Albert, working for the local radio station. Might as well give it a plug.
Oh, Mix 101. I got to say a big shout out to there on the Mix Morning Show with Lou Harrison. And yeah, big step from here to here, though. I'm a big fight lover. I love UFC, WWE. That's my Fight Network is on all the time in my house. So.
And now, the official Hard Knocks fighter introductions. In the TJ Pisa blue corner, it's his amateur debut. He's 19 years old and stands 5 feet, 10 inches tall. He weighed in at 208 pounds, fighting out of United Fighter MMA from Kenora. Please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Jordan O'Connor. And in the Flamins Fitness red corner, he's 0-1 as an amateur, 35 years old, and stands 6 feet tall. He weighed in at 204.5 pounds, fighting independently from Estevan. Please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Iron Mikey. This bout will be contested under amateur rules. The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks action is Mr. Elvis Lyon.
Coming out of the red corner, Mike Geib in the blue and white trunks, blue and black trunks for Jordan O'Connor. Out of the blue corner, very relaxed in the corner is Jordan O'Connor. I'm sure the fire will start once the cage door closes, and that it does. Hands go up and he is ready. Big swing coming from Geib early. We saw this in the fight against Craig Goodry where he came out swinging early and threw a lot of strikes and tries to get the up kick there.
Well, Geib had a look of fire on his face during those introductions. He never took his eyes off Jordan during the whole little brief part there. And Jordan was looking a little more relaxed, but Mike's coming out firing tonight hard.
Well, and knowing what Geib can do with his punches, I asked Jordan O'Connor, he said, well, if I can take a punch in the face from Jesse Bongfeld, I'm pretty sure I can take one from Mike Geib. And there's a big one coming in, but a nice recovery, and hits him with a counter when he came in.
Jordan's got to get him down. He's a wrestler. He's got to play his strength right now. Don't fend off those strikes. He's got to get him off his feet right now.
Well, it's interesting. Whenever I talk to a wrestler that's early in his MMA career, they always seem to want to prove something. I want to beat him on my feet to prove that I can. Well, get a couple wins under your belt and let that striking improve. I mean, teeing off. Guy's swinging from pretty much swinging from the waist at this point.
Jordan's got to be patient, too. I mean, with Mike's throwing punches like that, as heavy as he is, he's going to tire out fast. So if Jordan can be patient, get him down, stay relaxed, he can be in control of this fight.
And Geib throwing the bigger punches, but the mouse growing now under the eye of Geib. A nice, I think it was a jab from O'Connor that opened up a cut and has that mouse growing on the side of Mike Geib's face.
It was interesting because it was Geib throwing the heavy punches to start off the fight, and then somewhere now he's got a little mouse under his eye. So maybe it's when he was leaning in with those big punches and he got caught.
Lining Jordan O'Connor up against the fence. O'Connor doing a good job to get out of the way as that punch came from forever away. But O'Connor got out of the way, and good thing he did, or it could have been lights out Sally.
Well, see, O'Connor seems to be waiting right now. He's playing a defensive game right now. Just waiting for the guy to come in. He waits for it and counters the punches, fending off those leg strikes.
Again, the big mouse under the eye of Mike Geib. To this point, the most significant damage shown, as it looked like earlier O'Connor was looking for the throw, but so far no attempts at a takedown, which is surprising considering the wrestling background. But a big punch there had Geib in trouble briefly up against the fence.
Okay, and Connor saw a spot. He obviously saw a spot, moved in quick on it, which is great. Great strategy, O'Connor's part.
Now looking for a possible submission attempt, has it underneath, looking for the guillotine choke. This one may be in deep. He's lifting Geib off his feet. There's the tap, and O'Connor's got the win. Mike Geib going back to the drawing board again, falling to 0-2. But again, doesn't matter as an amateur how many you lose, as long as you don't lose when you turn pro. On the other side, Jordan O'Connor getting to celebrate a victory in his amateur debut.
Oh, this is all learning experience for both fighters right now. O'Connor was relaxed right from the opening start of the bell right to the finish of the fight. It was Geib who came out firing hard and fast, and maybe it was that contributed to him getting caught off guard.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the official decision, brought to you by Prince Albert Inn. The winner at 2 minutes and 49 seconds in the very first round. The winner by tap out due to guillotine choke. In the blue corner, Jordan O'Connor.
To find out more about Hard Knocks Fighting and upcoming Hard Knocks events, please visit hardknocksfighting.com.
I'll let you know that's the first time Patrick Ward has touched gloves or shook hands with Jeremy Kennedy. Said last night at the weigh-ins, Jeremy told me that he went to shake Patrick's hand after the standoff, and Patrick just kind of turned and walked away. and not touching gloves on his way around the cage, which is normally what the second guy in does. So a little bit of a gamesmanship here on the part of Patrick Ward.
Right hand, Patrick.
Well, and it can mess with someone's head. A nice takedown attempt there.
You got it.
You got it, sliding up, showing
Lock
that
your
length.
legs.
That's the thing with the long
if you can.
fighters is you sprawl
adjust the
back,
grip,
and
try to
yet
lock
they're
it.
still in good position because their arms are so
Adjust it,
long.
get deeper,
And
get deeper.
showing a good
Get deeper,
takedown there is
Patrick.
Jeremy
Get
Kennedy.
deeper.
Trying for a guillotine choke here
Get
is
deeper,
Ward, but
get
it
deeper.
looks like the head
Keep it up,
a little
keep it up.
high up for that choke to happen, and now he's
Lock
popped
him up,
out
lock
of it.
him up, Patrick, lock him up.
Good
High
striking
guard,
from the
high
bottom.
guard. Lock
Another
him up,
good
lock
strike
him up,
there
trap
from
him arm.
Patrick Ward. Again, Kennedy in the red and white trunks, red and black trunks for Ward. Kennedy working the dominant position right now. This is 5
High guard,
3-minute rounds
Patrick.
as well,
High guard, come on.
it's a championship fight.
Yeah. You got it, buddy. Keep that lock, Patrick.
Kennedy did go the distance in his
Shrimp,
title
get the
win
hips in, get the
for
leg in.
Battlefield, and did win that fight 50-45. An experience that he has over
attack that,
Patrick
Patrick.
Ward.
Butterfly
Ward's never
sweep,
been
huh?
past a third
Right there,
round,
right there.
never been and had the
Get on the hook,
opportunity to go
Patrick.
past the
Butterfly
third round,
sweep, get
and it's something
underneath,
that Kennedy
get
really
underneath,
feels
get
will give him the advantage if the
Get
fight goes
underneath,
that
Patrick,
long.
get
But
underneath.
right now doing a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
job
yeah.
of being on
Nice.
top,
Push it,
and
push
now
it up,
Ward
push
doing a
it,
good
push
job
it.
of fending him off as Kennedy was trying to take his back
Okay,
here.
push the knee
Yeah,
down,
and
pass,
you look at both these fighters, both are
Push the
trying
knee,
to
Patrick, push
come
the
up
knee,
and
get the
try
half
and
guard.
Cora, but
Get
now
the half
going
guard,
to
Patrick.
more typical style defense and
Use the
looking
cage, use the cage.
to single out an
Watch your
arm.
posture,
Kinda
watch your posture.
looks like he's
Look
trying
up,
to
look up.
do something like an omoplata.
Body,
from the
body,
bottom.
head, body, head, Patrick.
I don't know how that works, but
Posture.
I'm
Posture,
sure if
from
anybody
there,
can
from
do
there,
it,
now,
Jeremy
now.
Kennedy can.
Right there. His leg is open, Patrick. Drag
Ward
him
now
out, drag
in
him
a
out.
more dominant
Drag him out of the
position,
cage.
has
Watch your
Kennedy
neck,
up
watch
against
your
the
neck.
wall.
Get
Very
your neck
calm
out, drag
on the
him out,
face
drag him
of
out.
Jeremy Kennedy. It
Drag
looks
him out,
like
watch your neck, get your
he
head out.
doesn't mind being here. Throughout,
There you go.
even when he was standing.
His
the
leg is
relaxed.
open, Patrick. His leg is open.
8 fights on the
punch and
amateur
pass.
record already for Jeremy Kennedy, just 19
Posture
years
neck,
old.
posture, watch your neck, Patrick.
Able to get out.
Watch your neck,
Excellent
defend
job
it,
of
defend it,
assisting
yeah.
our stand-up here. 30
Foul,
seconds
spin him.
left on our feature fights clock.
30 seconds, Patrick. Spin him, spin him. Spin it, yeah, there you go. Watch the hand, watch the grip there. Don't let it grab the
Getting in
legs.
deep
Don't
with
let
that
him.
leg attack. He's got
Don't
those
let him,
hands
Patrick.
locked down. Nice
Keep him.
takedown there. So
Gang guard,
again, that's
Patrick,
2
gang guard.
takedowns to 1 for
15
Jeremy
seconds,
Kennedy.
Patrick.
Although Patrick Ward did spend a
Patrick,
significant
get the
amount of
hips
time
in,
on
get the
top.
hips in. Get guard. Yeah.
And a nice
Strike now,
sweep
Patrick.
there
Watch your
from
posture.
Ward
Body,
as
head.
Kennedy again was trying to
Patrick.
isolate
Body,
an
head.
arm
There you
and
go.
secure a
You
tap.
got it, buddy.
And
Go,
in
go,
doing
go.
so, gave up that position and ended the round with Ward on top. A tough round to call, Jeremy, because of, like you said, varied takedowns, some transitions on both sides in the jiu-jitsu game that saw both fighters end up on top on various occasions. A very close round in round number 1.
Well, I really think that this round is going to, or this fight is going to be won in the last 3 rounds. And that sounds like something, obviously the fight's going to be won at the end of the fight. But those
imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. But the last 3 rounds are going to show, because you look at these guys, and again, we're talking of five rounds of 3 minutes, so 5 3-minute sprints, and a nice takedown showing the replay here on our Feature Fights replay. But you look at the 2 corners, and Jeremy Kennedy looks very calm, very relaxed, like he's been here before, and a little bit of a different feel to the corner of Patrick Ward. So we'll see as this fight goes on and how the energy systems of these guys hold up.
More your sprawl, okay, Patrick? More sprawl.
Kennedy mentioned to me that he thought that Patrick Ward had never been hurt before tonight, and he was planning to do so. And Patrick Ward, on the other hand, has said, I lost my first fight by armbar, and I do not intend to get submitted again. So both these fighters with a significant drive, as is befitting the competitors in a title fight.
And one good kick each, one leg kick for Patrick Ward, and one kick to the midsection. Now a head kick here by Jeremy Kennedy.
There you go.
Nice catch.
Caught the foot of Patrick Ward, and again goes to work on top. Does Jeremy Kennedy. Now he's had some takedowns in the first round, and Patrick Ward was able to sweep him both times and wind up on top. So we'll see what happens in this exchange.
And it looks like Patrick Ward, this is the second time where he's been taken down, where he's ended up with a butterfly guard on that right arm, now slipping to a half guard.
Sweep away, get the guard again,
It could be something that he uses as a strategy to be able to sweep, as he was able to sweep so quickly. And maybe that's something that Jeremy Kennedy felt, and that's why he's tried to slip forward to get away from that butterfly and put it more towards a half guard, and able to work here. Nice strikes being landed from the top by Jeremy Kennedy.
Kennedy continuing to work on top, and as we've said here in some previous fights, being on top really seems to work for the judges, regardless of what's happening. But Kennedy staying busy on top. Patrick Ward again equally busy from the bottom, but that dominant position will make the difference in the judges' scorecard.
Well, and Jeremy Kennedy might have learned from the first round here, and again back to that butterfly guard goes Patrick Ward. But Jeremy Kennedy isn't risking as much. He's staying low so as to not get swept. Maybe being told by his corner, hey, these judges value the takedown. So make sure that you stay on top and stay in control, and maybe take a bit of a lower position, for lack of a better term, more of a lay and pray position. Although Kennedy not laying or praying, he's being very active from the top.
Continuing to land strikes again here in Medicine Hat. Strikes to the head of a downed opponent are legal. Of course, every combative sport commission has its own rules, and you will see those rules vary from Hard Knocks event to Hard Knocks event, depending on where we are.
He's giving to
But strikes to the head here are legal, and you will continue to see them through the rest of the night, especially as this amateur main event. The pro fights do come next.
Good work here by Jeremy Kennedy. Patrick Ward looking, you can see he's looking to sweep here. And then again, a nice movement forward by Jeremy Kennedy, taking away that advantage of that butterfly guard to be able to kick over his opponent.
Ward doing what he can to try and get out of this position on the bottom, but very good wrestling here from Jeremy Kennedy in order to keep his opponent down on the ground, continuing to drop punishment. And while the first round may have been in question, this round absolutely not the case, as Jeremy Kennedy spent the better part of 3 minutes on top and ends round number 2 being thrown to the ground temporarily by Patrick Ward, but round 2 clearly in favor of Jeremy Kennedy.
Yeah, and a Superman punch, and then you see that Elvis Line was quick in there because Patrick Ward had some evil eyes coming in there. He saw Jeremy Kennedy coming in, and just as that bell goes, it looked like Patrick Ward was in and going. We're going to see the replay here. He lands a Superman punch, not very clean. But if you look at the eyes of the opponent, oh, they just cleared that replay just at the wrong time. He was ready to just lay a vicious knee right into the face of Jeremy Kennedy. So the scores could be 1 round apiece. It could be 2 rounds for Jeremy Kennedy. So again, it's going to be how that energy system holds up.
Our ring girls, of course, taking the championship belt for a walk around the cage as it gets set to find its first waist clear.
You have to take it for a walk, or else it pees in the house.
Yes. File that one under editing. We'll continue here. Round number 3, Patrick Ward and Jeremy Kennedy for our 135-pound amateur title. And both fighters this round coming out swinging as they did in the first 2. Ward a little lighter on his feet, doing a little more bouncing back and forth. Kennedy, though, plodding forward and landing strikes.
Yeah, he's basically, every time Patrick Ward comes in, he's throwing out a jab, and that is a great takedown by Patrick Ward. He did the same thing he's done 3 times in a row, and when Jeremy Kennedy countered it like he's done 3 times in a row, he changed it up just a tiny little bit and was able to get the takedown.
Stay on top, watching that.
Trying to work again, using that length to his advantage is Jeremy Kennedy. But again, on top with a great takedown is Patrick Ward. Let's see if he can monopolize this whole round on top like Jeremy Kennedy did in the round previous.
Looks like Ward's trying to walk Kennedy towards the cage where he might try and pass and again try and limit the escapability of Jeremy Kennedy. Again, Ward on top in the red trunks, white trunks for Kennedy. and these two fighters will go to a 5th round if necessary, as we have seen here before in the Hard Knocks cage. When Riley Molyneux won his title, it took all 5 rounds, and that was a battle that the fans here won't soon forget, and they're getting another nice title fight here tonight.
And using the wall to his advantage, he's able to go and push himself up. So back to a neutral position, although Patrick Ward doing an excellent job delivering the knees to different spots. And now pushing the action forward is Jeremy Kennedy.
Yeah, Ward was delivering those knees, and you can see he was twisting the hips as he was trying to throw those in to add a little more torque as they went to the inside of Kennedy's leg. But Kennedy doing a good job, again, with that extra length, those extra couple inches, enough to pick Patrick Ward up off the ground and drive him down with a slam to wind up on top.
Creating a little bit of space as Patrick Ward was right up against the cage, backing up a little bit, and in on the legs now is Jeremy Kennedy. Patrick Ward doing an excellent job getting back up, and Kennedy just pushing along. And this is what Patrick Ward needs to do. He needs to do as much as he can.
Get up right away.
To
Get up right away.
balance things out in the eyes of the
Break
judges.
his grip. Don't let him
Again, another nice takedown where he just kind of pulled him off away from the cage
get up.
and
Break
used
the
that
grip.
extra
Don't let him
couple
grab it.
inches
Break
to
it.
slam
Break
his
it.
opponent to the ground.
Underhook,
And
Patrick.
he's
Underhook.
takedown score at every single
pound,
one, and Patrick
pound.
Ward should
Get
be
one under,
concerned that he's
Patrick.
being taken down so easily here.
Okay,
Yes, he's
shrimp
popping
and
back
pouvoir,
up,
Patrick. Shrimp
but
and
being
pouvoir,
taken
come on.
down, and those are scores
Work your
in the eyes
legs,
of the
work your
judges.
guard.
There's no
Come on,
official
Patrick.
score for judges,
Now,
as in
now,
one
shrimp
guy
and
has
pouvoir.
8 and another guy has 7.
Get
so
your
there's
right
the
hook
10-9
in.
round.
Get your right hook
But
in. Come on.
it's a mental scorecard being done
Come on,
every
Patrick.
single round
Sweep,
in the eyes
sweep.
of the
Do
judges.
something there, buddy. Yeah, get on top. Get on top.
Just a
Strike
couple
now,
seconds
Patrick.
left
Strike.
here in round number
Body,
3,
head.
and like round
Head.
number 2, Patrick Ward will end the round on top after being taken down 3 times in that round by Jeremy Kennedy. Patrick Ward raising his arms temporarily before possibly remembering that there are still 2 rounds to go.
Well, it could just be I won that round. I'm trying to put it to the judges that I won that round. Again, you look, very calm face is Jeremy Kennedy, and not the same ilk as getting advice as Patrick Ward. Both these guys, great records, 7-1 for Kennedy, 4-1 for Ward. And we'll look at the 3rd takedown here as he's able to get inside that leg on an inside leg trip and turn his opponent away, so he wasn't able to use the cage to get back up. But later on, as we go through this replay here, and obviously we're going back to the live shot, Patrick Ward was able to get back on top and land some damage. So these are all very close rounds, with the exception of the second, which clearly went to Jeremy Kennedy.
So 3 rounds in the books. We are into the championship rounds now, as round number 4 is set to start, as Elvis Lyon knows that we are ready to go. And Jeremy Kennedy and Patrick Ward come out for the first of 2 possible championship rounds here as they compete for our 135-pound amateur title.
And Jeremy Kennedy utilizing that jab a couple times has been able to stop the penetration step of Patrick Ward. A nice takedown again by Jeremy Kennedy.
Well, it looked like Ward was trying for a throw and ended up having Kennedy collapse on top of him. And as a result, now finds himself on the bottom, where he has spent a significant amount of this fight, Jeremy.
Yeah, but again, up against the cage, he's high up in posture, so he might be able to position up the cage to be able to sneak out. Both of these fighters have shown success at getting off of their backs, which is something that is a good sign for an amateur fighter. Many fighters know what they're doing on top, but once they get on the bottom, it's more of I'm going to try and look busy, but I'm not able to get off my back. Both fighters able to get off their back, showing great technique here, and maybe this is why they've made it into this championship fight.
Couple rights and left sneaking through there from Kennedy on top.
Get the knee across.
Trying to, again, make that impression on the judges. Kennedy, in his 8 amateur fights, has gone to a decision 5 times in 8 fights, and that includes 2 championship fights. So again, having been to a 5th round before, he knows what it feels like to fight deep. This, of course, the longest fight now of Patrick Ward's young MMA career.
Come on, get your momentum. Now, sit up. On the hook. Don't let it grab, on the hook right away.
Kennedy continues to work his wrestling up against Ward on the cage and just holds his opponent down. And again, that's in the eyes of the judges, you can't do anything but award a round to Kennedy if this continues, because he's been on top the entire time.
Well, you talk about and a nice switch there by Patrick Ward, now able to get on top of Kennedy, in on the legs again and takes him down. So Patrick Ward does all that hard work to get off his back and ends up right back down. And there's got to be some frustration building on his side. But you talk about Jeremy Kennedy, and we'll try and equate it to a bit of a football analogy. There's a way to kind of run out the game and win the game 10-6, or you play it like the Philadelphia Eagles, and you're either going to win by 60 or lose by 50. And Jeremy Kennedy more the grind it out. You don't necessarily need to stop your opponent to win a fight. You just need to be able to control him and be able to be the one who's doing most of the action. George St. Pierre, another example of this. Not a guy who finishes a lot of fights, but he wins fights convincingly.
Yeah, George St. Pierre, I believe just one finish since he won the championship, and now with just 10 seconds left in round number 4, we'll see if Patrick Ward can again scramble to the top. And this time Kennedy stays on top to end the round, as we are now through 4 rounds, a 5th and final round upcoming between these two fighters as they look to become the first ever Hard Knocks champion at the 135-pound amateur class. And you can see the belt going right past Kennedy there and going around for its trip around the cage, the final trip before it will get awarded to one of these two fighters as they look again to become the first ever Hard Knocks champion at 135 pounds.
At the end of the round, Patrick Ward went over to his corner as we look at the replay of a takedown here. Patrick Ward goes over his corner and he took an extra couple laps, and you can see the frustration in him. It's, I've done so many things right in this fight, but I still feel like I'm losing this fight, and that's unfortunate because he's showing some great technique. He's able to switch and get off his back. But Jeremy Kennedy is doing a fantastic job in this fight.
Everything you got, buddy. Everything. 100%.
Second handshake.
Everything you got, Benji.
So Elvis brings him into the center of the cage for a quick handshake, and then guides Patrick Ward back to his corner, knowing that this is the 5th and final round. Trying the flying knee, Patrick Ward. A big kick thrown by Ward again, caught and thrown aside by Jeremy Kennedy, who again, for the 5th round, ends up on top early in the round, and we'll see what damage he can do here. Patrick Ward is going to have to escape to have a chance at winning this fight.
Yeah, and you can tell Patrick Ward's corner says, you're losing this fight, you got to do something. They've got to feel that they're down multiple rounds, maybe 3 rounds to 1, maybe 4 rounds to nothing.
Get out of there, buddy.
They felt like their fighter had to come out, and Patrick Ward did all he could. A flying knee to the chest. He tried a spinning back fist, trying everything to try and knock him out, but it was Jeremy Kennedy again with a jab.
Go,
come on. Nice shot, caught him off balance, and was able to stun him with just a jab.
Push.
Interesting to me that you try the flying knee knowing that there's no knees or elbows to the head of an opponent, standing or lying or down. The best you can hope for with a flying knee to the chest is that you pull him over. You're not going to knock him out at any point. So an interesting strategic choice there to come out with that move that likely is not going to end the fight for you as a big surprise move, unlike potentially a Superman
He's going to take you down.
or somewhere where you a legal blow to knock him out. And a huge slam there from Jeremy Kennedy.
Jeremy Kennedy sticking with it, making sure that he keeps the hands just under and the hips of Patrick Ward. Every time Patrick Ward comes up, he locks those hands underneath the bum of Patrick Ward, because that's the best shelf to be able to pick a guy up. And if a guy sprawls back, he's not sprawling back with his knees and his legs. It used to be conventional wisdom, hands on the back of the knees, one hand on each knee, don't lock those hands. As wrestling has evolved in this sport, and in all sports, you watch wrestling at the Olympics coming up here in 2012, you're going to see a lot of takedowns are going for that under the bum hand position as opposed to the back of the knees.
Patrick Ward trying to wrench out a Kimura from the bottom, but Kennedy gets his arm back in, and now in the half guard again, not throwing a lot of highly damaging strikes from the top, but still staying busy and throwing strikes, and that's going to win you around in the eyes of the judges every time.
And this is the evolution of this sport. Is back in the original days, it was who's going to win a street fight. It's who's going to win a street fight, who's tougher overall. Now it's an art. It is a martial art. It's a mixed martial art, a combination of all martial arts, and it is a technique based. If I were looking at a fight where this is a fight in an alley, I might think that Patrick Ward might have a chance, but the technique of Jeremy Kennedy is just outstanding.
So just 5 seconds left now in this championship fight, and it is over. We will go to the judges' scorecards. Patrick Ward looks upset. He's punching the cage. I'm pretty sure he knows how this one's going to pan out. Jeremy Kennedy may just add a second title to his waist here tonight as he becomes the Hard Knocks champion. Again, all dependent on the judges' scorecards, Jeremy, but from where we're sitting, it certainly looks like Jeremy Kennedy will take home the title.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the official decision brought to you by Fairburn, Canada. The winner by unanimous decision in the blue corner, Jeremy Kennedy.
Jeremy Kennedy, our new champion.